Hey guys, welcome. As you know, Amorim is going to be the new Man United manager. I'm wearing the jersey and I'm wearing sporting colours. And in this video, I just wanted to quickly talk about what I think his style is going to be, his tactics are, and how I think it's going to work with Manchester United and the Premier League. Stay tuned. So to start, I wanted to quickly just talk about his actual style and his tactics. So first of all, tactically, he sets up in a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1, and that has been a staple, and it seems like he's completely wedded to that formation. He's not changing anytime soon. So what he does is, again, three at the back, four in midfield in terms of the midfielders, central midfielders, and the two wing backs. And then there's a two behind the striker. So sometimes it could be a number 10 and a winger. So that's what he does now with Goncalves and Trincao. So Goncalves is basically a number 10, a goal scoring number 10 in the Bruno Fernandes mode, if I might add. And then Trincao is like a tricky, left-footed, silky winger. And then of course you have one of the best strikers around at the moment in Gyökeres. So that's basically what it is. And I think in that style, generally it's either a number 10 and a winger, or sometimes maybe two number 10s. But rarely does he ever use two wingers because he likes them to play a bit more inside and the wing backs covering the width and spreading the pitch. So when you see them attacking, it's very much like a front five. You see the striker, you see the two attackers behind the striker, and you see the wing backs all attacking as one. So it's almost very much like a front five. And again, they attack very directly. He's not a heavily dominant possession manager. Again, his teams control the games, they play high up, and they control games. So of course they're going to have more of the ball, and they're one of the better teams in the Portuguese league. So definitely they're going to have more of the ball. But in general, he's not wedded to slow possession. They definitely attack with a lot of ferocity and directness in that sense. And when you see those wing backs, their job mainly is to spread the pitch, because like I said, he likes his attacking midfielders behind to be a bit more narrow and to contribute in that way. Incisive passes through between the lines and goals, right? So the wing backs actually, especially now that his wing backs are maybe not as talented as they had in the past with like Nuno Mendes and Pedro Porro. Now he has a young left-footed right wing back in Quenda, 17-year-old wonder kid, who is quite attacking. But Nuno Santos on the left as well, he's not that talented, but again, they help spread the pitch. So right now, a lot of the times how he uses the wing backs are as decoys. Of course, they're there when necessary, but most of the play goes from Goncalves and Trincao through the middle, supplying Gyökeres. The wing backs are mainly there for shape purposes and to spread the pitch. And of course, they have their defensive capabilities, which I'll talk about a bit later on. But of course, when the middle is choked up, and again, because you have the talented players like Goncalves and Trincao, a lot of the time, and Gyökeres, a lot of the time, teams collapse on them and play very narrow to stop the passes through the lines. And then that's when your wing backs can be very effective. Defensively, at Sporting, how it has worked so far is they do play a very high line. Although he can be pragmatic, they call him the new Mourinho, but it's really more about the fact that he's Portuguese and he's young, a charismatic Portuguese young manager. But defensively, they play a very high line. In Europe, they have the fourth highest line behind Porto, Benfica, and Man City. So I think we should take into context that the other teams are Portuguese, but again, it does show his intention. And also, defensively, they had the third best record in Europe in terms of XG conceded, only behind Feyenoord and Arsenal. So defensively, if you see, they are very solid. And again, the benefits of the 3-4-3 is that it can very easily become a five at the back, and then you can really lock up the pitch. So you have your back five, then those ahead of them, and you can really lock up passing angles. The wide centre backs can also help in pressing the wide players. So you can definitely become very defensively solid with this formation if coached and done well. So that has worked for him in like I showed you his defensive records. They have been very, very good. In terms of the build-up, how they build up is almost the meta formation that teams seem to be doing now, where you're building up with a back three and then two in the middle, like I covered with the Chelsea video and the Barcelona video. So a lot of times they do build up in that formation. So a lot of teams build up in that formation, but he actually starts with this formation. But there are other times he builds up with a two and the middle centre back drops into the pitch to create those triangles and passing lanes for them to build up more effectively. So he sometimes builds up in a three, where you have the back three, you have Debast, you have Diomande, and you have Inacio as the back three, and then you have the wing backs, and then you have those two in the middle, Morita and Hillman. But sometimes he also does, like I said, build up with two at the back, and then Coates drops a bit deeper at center back to create better triangles and passing angles to get out of high presses. So he's very, very flexible in his approach, although the formation always stays the same. So I wanted to touch on how I think this will play out at Man United. Again, you see what I feel is going to be possibly the formation and how it will work with the likes of Euro, De Ligt, Martinez at the back. And you do wonder, was this in mind when you ended up signing Euro and De Ligt this summer, when you already had Martinez, Maguire, Lindelof, things like that? Was that, a possibility that they might have a manager playing three at the back? And then in midfield, I think you say with Ugarte and Kobe Mainoo, Ugarte had his best year of his career under Amorim before going to PSG. So I think that would be the midfield. And then I feel Bruno will play in that Goncalves role where he's a number 10. Very, very, he's inside the pitch and causing damage there. And then you have either, Rashford or Garnacho or even an Ahmad. I think those kind of players that can play a bit more directly and in the half spaces with Ahmad. So I see that happening. And then you have a Højlund who runs the channels. And if you look at Goicoechea, obviously they're both Scandinavians. And of course, Højlund is nowhere near that level yet. But Højlund is a quick, strong striker that runs the channels. And I can see Amorim really developing him very well. But my main issue with this team is the wing-backs. If you see, I didn't touch on the wing-backs till now. I feel that the wing-backs are going to be very, very crucial for this system to work. Because for your wing-backs to be effective, there needs to be a threat in the sense where teams actually need to worry about your output. And when I see Luke Shaw and let's say Kah-Lo playing that, for me, they're very much defenders. Luke Shaw, of course, he's technically gifted, but he's not going to get you many assists. Kah-Lo is... a misconception is Kah-Lo is a very offensive fullback and Wan-Bissaka was the defensive one. But Kah-Lo doesn't get many assists. Kah-Lo doesn't score many goals. He's not like a Pedro Porro, a Cancelo, players that can play that wing-back role to perfection. For me, these guys are still defenders. And when a three at the back very quickly can turn into a five at the back with those types of players, and it goes from a potentially exciting direct formation and offensive formation to a team playing five at the back and ceding control and ceding possession. Because those guys are not real threats, and the teams are being narrowed to block the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad, Rashford, Garnacho, and the striker going in behind. They'll be very comfortable to block the middle because they know what's going to come from the wings and not necessarily threatening. So when you see the best year of his career at Sporting, again, like I said, with the likes of Porro and Mendes, the formation works when you have players like that can really scare teams. So until United invest in those wing-back areas, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. But again, when you see, again, with this demonstration that, okay, maybe the wing-backs are, in that flat line of five, like I mentioned with Sporting earlier, it doesn't look as threatening when you have Luke Shaw and Kah-Lo in those areas. So is he going to try and play a winger there, maybe play one winger there, maybe play an Anthony there, or play a Garnacho there? Would that work? So that's a big concern I have, because a 3-4-3, a sexy 3-4-3 can very easily become a five at the back, a five at the back that is a bit turgid very, very quickly, depending on the personnel. So that'll be very interesting to watch. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope I was able to shed some light on Amorim, his tactics, and how I think it will work at Man United. Although it didn't work out for his idol, Jose Mourinho, even though he won a few trophies, I'm sure Amorim will be hoping for much better luck. With a three at the back system, although I'm a bit skeptical about how it's going to work in the Premier League against the quality that's there and how I think it's going to work with the personnel that Man United have, it's going to be very interesting to see. The whole thing that Man United need right now is change. They've tried so many different managers, styles of plays, formations, and they haven't worked. So why not try something different? So guys, thanks for watching again. Take care.